It was a sunny Saturday in June when I got the letter that started it all. A crisp, white envelope from the Pinewood Estates HOA tucked in my mailbox like a ticking time bomb. Violation notice: unauthorized outdoor recreational equipment. It read, slapping me with a $200 fine for the basketball hoop my kids had been shooting at in the driveway. Look, I'm a single dad. And my two boys, Jake and Ethan, are 10 and 12. That hoop was their lifeline, keeping them off screens and out of trouble. The idea that some busybody in a blazer could dictate how my kids play in our own damn yard, that lit a fire in me. Pinewood's a nice enough neighborhood. Manicured lawns. Cul-de-sacs. The whole suburban dream, but the HOA. A bunch of Karens with too much time and too little chill. Leading the pack was Linda, the HOA president, who patrolled the streets like she was the sheriff of suburbia. I'd seen her measuring grass blades with a ruler. No joke. The fine stung, but what burned more was the principle. My boys weren't hurting anyone. They weren't spray painting walls or blasting music at 2A. They were just kids, tossing a ball around. I tried reasoning with Linda at the next HOA meeting, figuring I could appeal to her humanity. Big mistake. She sat at the head of the community center table, her perm as stiff as her smile, and said, "Rules are rules. Mr. Carson, if we allow one hoop, soon everyone's yard will look like a carnival." The room nodded like she'd just quoted the Bible. I left that meeting feeling like I'd been chewed up and spat out. But as I drove home, watching Jake and Ethan kick a soccer ball in the street because, yeah, the driveway was now off limits, a plan started brewing. If Linda wanted to play hardball, I'd show her how it's done. The HOA rulebook was my first stop. I'm no lawyer, but I've got a knack for finding loopholes. Turns out the rules banned temporary recreational equipment like basketball hoops, but permanent structures. Totally fine, as long as they met setback requirements and didn't block drainage. I spent nights poring over those pages, sipping cheap coffee, grinning like a kid plotting a prank. The side yard, 15 feet of unused grass between my house and the neighbor's fence, was the perfect spot. I'd build something permanent, something so in your face Linda couldn't ignore it. A ping pong table. Not some flimsy fold-up one, but a full-on concrete slab. Regulation-size ping pong arena. HOA approved. Technically, but guaranteed to make Linda's head explode. I called up my buddy Mike, who owns a construction company, and pitched him the idea. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his beer. "You're gonna build a what?" To stick it to the HOA man. "You're my hero." By the next weekend, we had a crew out there, pouring concrete, leveling it like we were building a damn runway. The boys helped, mostly by sneaking extra cement to make handprints in the corner. I even had Mike weld a steel net post right into the slab, permanent as hell. The pièce de resistance, I grabbed a can of red spray paint and scrawled "Screw HA rules" across the side of the table. Subtle, nah. Satisfying, you bet. Word spread fast. By the time the concrete cured, Linda was at my door, clipboard in hand, looking like she'd just sucked a lemon. "This is an outrage," she sputtered, pointing at the arena. "You can't just build this monstrosity." I leaned against the doorframe, sipping my coffee, and said, "Check the rulebook, Linda. Page 47, section 3.2. Permanent structures are A-OK." Her eyes narrowed, and I swear I saw her perm quiver. She stormed off, promising to take this to the board. the boys, watching from the window, high-fived me like I'd just won the Super Bowl. But I knew this wasn't over. Linda wasn't the type to let a dad with a vendetta get the last word. The next week was a circus. Linda sent violation notices daily, claiming everything from excessive noise, the boys playing ping pong, to vandalism, the spray paint. I countered everyone with rulebook quotes, emailing the board PDFs of the exact pages. The neighbors started picking sides. Some thought I was a jerk. Others slipped me beers at the mailbox, whispering, "Give 'em hell." Then came the HOA's big move, a special meeting to address the Carson property. I showed up, rulebook in hand, ready for war. Linda had a freaking PowerPoint, calling my ping pong arena an eyesore and proposing a new rule banning recreational structures. The room was split, but when it came to the vote, my loophole held. The rule change needed a 2/3 majority, and they fell short by 3 votes. I walked out grinning, knowing I'd won this round. But the real twist, Linda didn't just lose, she doubled down. The next morning, I woke up to find my ping pong table covered in yellow caution tape, courtesy of the HOA, with a notice claiming it was under investigation for code violations. That was the last straw. I grabbed my phone, live-streamed the whole thing on the neighborhood Facebook group, and called out Linda's petty power trip. This is what happens when you play by the rules. "Folks," I said, panning to the tape. "They can't stand losing." The video went viral in our little corner of the internet, 200 shares by noon. Neighbors started leaving ping pong balls on my doorstep, like some kind of suburban rebellion tribute. By the end of the week, Linda resigned as HOA president. The official reason was personal commitments, but everyone knew the truth: she'd been outplayed. The caution tape came down, and the boys were back to their ping pong matches, louder than ever. The arena's still there, handprints and all, and every time I see it, I can't help but laugh. I didn't just beat the HOA. I turned their own game against them. Sure, my side yard's a little less Pinewood Estates chic, but it's ours. And that's worth every penny of that $200 fine. So, what do you think? Was I a genius or a total jerk for building that ping pong arena? Drop your take in the comments. I'm curious where you stand. The end.